reality, reality, reality is and unfortunately that's it. Everything that precedes this concept is assumption, is a mind approach to try and get ownership of that what is infinitely always and always. The mind is a needer. The mind is the wanter. The mind is the ego, the pride, the powerful. I found it first. I found reality. The mind is I. The mind's I is I. Any mind that wants to know anything other than what is taking place, meaning with no words, no identity, no assumption, no comparisons, no preferences, no measurements, no associations, no attachments, no beliefs, no hopes. That very subtle, simple quality of mind that just exists is very close to reality. But any mind that wants to know anything other than acceptance of what is here, in that state of simple no need, just an essence of being, has to have been a learned, conditioned aspect of something other than what it is. And that's really the description of you. You are a learned, conditioned, programmed aspect of something other than what you are. Was that what wants to know reality? Who is that one? Who is that one that wants to know anything other than that I exist? That one cannot know anything other than what it conceptualizes, other than what it assumes, other than what it creates from something that is not real. The constructed world of words. When you wake up and you say, for years and years I've been calling that thing a tree, but it's just a name. What was it before it was a tree? No mind goes backwards. Not that there's a backwards, but it's always looking to add on more apps. So I'll just accept it's a tree. Therefore I have accepted division, because the tree is no longer part of the clouds, which is another name, or part of the earth, which is another name, or part of the atmosphere, which is another name. So we have divided this, what we call landscape, into aspects of noise. names, identities. The tree is not a tree, and I am not what I have been told I am. I am not mind. This body appears, it disappears, it will change, it will move, it will transcend, and apparently it will die. All names, all ideas, all concepts of what is going to take place. A mind that only projects past into now and future into now, but is completely oblivion to now because it doesn't exist now. The minute, the moment, the present moment, no mind is active. It's not thinking about tree. It's not thinking about names, me, world, job, shopping, because it can't. Because it is not. You see, it is not. Because the mind itself is an idea, a concept, a self-creation, not by me or you, but a creation of its own existence, not reality. Reality is. Mind wants to know what is. What's the next word? Reality is what? Mind is the question. But you have to ignore these words, because I don't know anything. You see, when you're shocked, I call this the transcendence of ego. Okay? When you see something for the first time that is eye-opening, now that can be depend on your age, your conditioned mind, and whatever. So let's look at it as a child. A child, let's say a 7-year-old child. And suddenly this child is born, I don't know, in the UK. So it's aware of what its surroundings are. Its parents have already described what is taking place, what is this, and what this does and what that does, and all that stuff, right? And it goes on holiday to South America. And the child is walking along the road with the parents, and suddenly this I don't know, lizard runs in front of it. Child, what? Never seen it before. Didn't know it existed. It's mesmerized. It doesn't know. It experiences, but it doesn't know. Parents say, it's a lizard. Child is taken away from the experience, the not knowing, to a place of the parents call to try and pacify, to try and give the child some information, to try and help the child understand what is taking place through words and names and identities, and the way that the mind wants to suffocate and stifle the child's wow. How can we stifle this wow? How can we bring this child back to our ego state mind world of fitting in? So the parents describe to the child it's a lizard. They show pictures of it. The child now is free from the not knowing. It appears to know. So therefore the child goes through the life learning about whatever it experiences or sees, touches, tastes, explains to someone else, and they share it, and they say that's what it is, or that's what it could be, or that's what it's not. When you experience, I don't know, I don't call it God, but when you experience something that is beyond any knowledge, any information, anything that can be made sense of. And the lizard experience is very similar to the child as it is to the one that experiences, let's say, a godly encounter, a consciousness encounter. Something for a moment appears to appear. Wow. You don't know. It's never been recorded before. It's never been in a history book. It's never been, it is no form. It is neither formless. It is beyond all senses and emotions, but it existed, and it's there in that moment. All the knowledge, all the hope, the belief of trying to find someone to say, help me understand what that is. And there's no one there to share it. There's no one there to understand it, to experience it. So that wow cannot be stifled. That unknown, that experience of the unknown cannot be stifled. So you remain in that wow. And someone says, what is it that you saw? I don't know. If the child's parents had not been with the child, and there had been no books, and it had been the first time and the only time, and the child had tried to describe to the parents what it looked like, what it was, what colour it was, where it was, what speed it was going, the parents cannot help the child understand what it is. The understanding is the problem, you see. To think you're a human is the problem. Because it's been information shared to try and stifle your experience of being alive. And you are not this mind. But the speaker wants to say this, right? This is not informative stuff. Because the speaker knows nothing. Because in this wow, everything is disposed of. There is still a memory of the names that was given before, of the schooling, of the relationships. There are still subtle memories, subtle connections to ego, subtle connections to information, subtle connections, but they're not important. Because in this wow, something just is. And there's no need to try and understand it. Because it takes away the pain and the sorrow and the good and the bad, that opposing values. It takes away all the suffering. It takes away all the seriousness and the non-seriousness. It takes away all the form and the formless ways. It takes away all the associations and the attachments and the relationships and the needs and the beliefs and the hopes, because that wow cannot die. And that wow is not overwhelming joy. It is a complete peace, a complete stillness, a complete love. And that completion makes you appear as if you're non-dual, because of everything that surrounds it, or was incorporated with it, or is seen or perceived, tasted and touched, is part of that wow. So that you cannot judge another human being because they are part of the wow. You cannot judge nature because it's part of the wow. You cannot judge the universe as part of the wow. It's part of the completion. It's part of that seeing that you never, ever, ever wanted to see. Because your mind wanted to understand, because mind wants to understand what the tree is, what the cloud is, what the lizard is. It needs form, it needs pictures, it needs identities, it needs names, it needs a smell or a taste, for something for it to be analysed under the microscope or under the teaching knowledge about what we have given names to and all that stuff. But this wow supersedes all stuff. So what remains is you, whatever you are, as part of this wow. And this body appears to be here, but the wow says that everything is the mind. Everything from the mind is a concept, is an idea. Because this that is seen blows away concepts and ideas, makes fools of what the mind tries to believe and project, and stubbornly try and remain as whatever it wants to remain as. So if you want to remain as a person, you're being stubborn. If you want to remain as a name, you're being stubborn. The mind, that's you, the mind, is being stubborn. If you want to remain believing that your body, and that you were born, and that you are here to be a slave, or to be a king, or be a doctor, or believe that you'll die and that there's a heaven, you're being stubborn. Because this wow is infinite. Always and always. So you're not special. The child was special when it saw the lizard. It felt truly special. It felt mesmerized until it was described as just a lizard. And so if this was able to be shared, if this experience of this moment, this profound and deep godliness, if it was able to be shared, and someone would say, well, it's just God. And you're out of that wow, and you're back to this placid, boring, opposing value, imbalanced, stale life as a human. The wow never leaves you. Because it was an idea that you were separate from it in the first place. The mind builds ideas and concepts to divide you from your truth. And the mind that accepts the conditioned life, the programmed life, that you're a human and that's what you're going to be, and you're going to have to be doing this, even though something inside says, no, there's something more. Everyone else is going to say, don't be so stupid, don't follow that. Just be a human. You accept that. That's the life you live out, and that's okay. Because the majority live out the life believing that I'm a person. I know nothing now except this wow. And this wow gives no information. It's the unknown. It remains unknown. It can never be known. It can be experienced. It can be witnessed for a moment. But it cannot be kept as a painting on a wall, because it's changing. The wow itself pulsates with love and change. And to call it God is foolish. To call it consciousness is foolish. To call it spirit is foolish. To call it anything other than the unknown is foolish. Just to experience that love, that profound moment, is much, much more satisfying than flying to Mars in a spaceship, than any what we call a man-made human mentally constructed encounter. But so what? It leaves you in peace and liberation. There's no need to find out anything about what's in the universe or what's in biology or what's in religion or what's in spirituality or what's in care and human and what's in mind and what's in imagination and what's in heaven and hell and what's in paradise and what's before and what's after and what's going to take place and what's not going to take place. You're always in the moment. It's infinite. It's immortal. It's omnipotent, omnipresent. And we can say it's God. But if you say that, someone's going to say, no, that's not the God that I saw. Or that's not the God that I know. Or that's not the God that our religion portrays. And so you say, this world is nothing. It is profound emptiness. Reality is ness. And all that is born from this emptiness and this isness is consciousness, beingness. And that's what we are. That's what this I is that appears to be flesh and blood, but it's not a person. It's not. I don't know anything, any word or identity that makes sense in this existing spell of living. But beingness is all that one can say. I may be something other than that. I may be something other than that. But that may be something other than I. Which one? Which side? This is not informative for you. This is not promoting consciousness or God or mind or spirit. This is not entertaining. This is not information. This is not ego saying, I saw something better than you. I saw something that cannot be described. And we see it every day. But we have this damn mind that wants to make sense of it, that wants to stifle the lizard, that was never a lizard and is never a lizard, that stifles the tree, that was never a tree, that is never a tree, that stifles the cloud, that stifles this. We call it flesh, bones, body, form, person. Bullshit. Everything is bullshit. Empty bullshit. And in the core of that empty bullshit